I think that's how that works. Hey, welcome to the Listen to This Bull live show. This is the show where you can ask us any question you want, and we will have to answer it. It's kind of the obligation that we have. We think we signed a contract about that at some point.
We did.
My name is Matthew Mulhall, and this is Neck Tattoo. He has another name. I don't know what it is.
It's not important, but I'm curious as to why I got the name Neck Tattoo with the rest of them. I mean, could it be Nuck Tattoo? Could it have been Nuck Tattoo? Or Knee Tattoo? It could be Tit Tat.
Really?
It could have been Tit Tat.
Looks like a velociraptor. We have a live audience today out in a window over here from one of our classes. So today we're talking about something interesting. We are talking about adjusters dictating what the repair methodology is for a claim. If you have a question or a comment and want to ask us, you just have to put it in the comments and we will probably answer it. I think we have
to the best of our abilities. It'll probably be nonsense, but I'll make it interesting.
I'm not going to answer the best of my ability. That sounds exhausting. Cool. Hey, Conrad. What's up? How are you? How we doing? They aren't dictators. That sounds like a weird tater tot.
It is. Yeah,
like one of those Rocky Mountain oyster tater tots. It's a dictator. And we do have no Remington Huggins today, so I am unleashed. That poor guy is off doing something way more fun, probably hunting for something.
Go ahead and let me know you're not a lawyer, though. Just
I'm not a lawyer.
Make him proud.
Neither is Necktie.
I'm not a lawyer.
We are not lawyers. If we say anything that sounds like that we are lawyering about, it's just because you heard us wrong. If we tell you something that sounds like it might be legal advice, you're just wrong. We didn't give any legal advice. We highly encourage you to ask an attorney about anything that we say ever so that, we're not liable for whatever it is that you're fucking doing because it's probably crap.
This is an opinion-based show based on experiences. Based on experiences.
We're going to give you our opinions of things. So today we're talking about whether an insurance adjuster, I don't know why I'm putting this in my ear, you're right next to me, whether an insurance adjuster can decide how a repair is to be performed on anything. Now you
have been getting this a lot. So this is why I kind of want to talk about this one, because it seems like with our recent movement in the past several months here, I've been seeing a lot of changes. As everybody knows, State Farm is kind of becoming quite difficult sometimes to work with.
But not State Farm. Why would they be difficult? They're such a great company.
They show record profits. You would think that they would share the wealth.
Let the record show that I said that State Farm was a great company.
It used to be one of my favorites. Anyway, there are certain
without any sarcasm whatsoever.
There are certain insurance companies that are making it more and more difficult for contractors to perform quality repairs. Not only quality, but legal repairs, I guess. And I've even had some go as far as to say, this is a certainty shingle pre-existing on the roof, and we want you to repair it with an Owens Corning and things of that sort. So why can they tell me, the licensed contractor, how to perform a repair when the licensed contractor, who's not a licensed adjuster, can't speak on policy? How can they cross a bridge when I can't cross a bridge?
I would really love it if someone in my audience is an insurance adjuster, someone on the carrier side. If you would like to come on, I would absolutely love to pull you on. I'll send you an invite. I promise we won't beat you up. We will have some fun together, but I won't beat you up. And we could talk about what it is that you guys do on a regular basis, because I think that this is an important thing to establish. If you are dictating whether or how something is to be performed, generally speaking, you accept the liability for that work.
When in reality, me as a contractor is legally the one that's accepting responsibility by doing it.
Right. Well,
because if they tell me to do it, by me doing it, I'm the one.
If they don't accept liability, then yeah, you're the one that's liable. Let me say it this way: if an engineer, I'm going to my mic closer because I feel like it'd be better. Because maybe I want to be slightly louder than you because I'm slightly better than you. Wins. Go ahead, Matt. Really loud. If an engineer were to put in writing, how to do something, establish a protocol,
They're qualified.
or a prescriptive method of repair,
I would take
and
that.
it is outside the normal repair methodology, the normal standard repair methodology, they can do that, but they accept liability for that repair methodology. Do they not?
Yes, and they're also educated and licensed on that topic.
Right. So if an insurance adjuster says, no, you can do it this way, do you think they have the credentials to say that?
No.
Oh, wait a minute, John. Damn it, I knew your name. But wait a
You're a
minute,
liar.
John. Does it matter that the insurance company is the one paying for the repair?
No.
Why not?
Because in the code specifically tells me that I cannot let a third party, non-authorized third party, dictate my quality repair, and I must comply with the provisions set forth here in this code.
I love that you use the word dictate.
Well, I had to keep it,
What?
kosher with the title.
That one?
Yeah, dictate.
Dictate.
Spelled correctly.
I spelled it
Webster.
exactly how I wanted to.
Webster Dictionary says
They aren't dictators.
no.
So Eric Ponce asks, metal roof underlayment requirement, ice and water, full roof, what kind of underlayment? What are you asking? What is the requirement for underlayment under a metal roof?
I guess
Typically, you would need a high temp.
everybody's drinking at this hour.
I don't really understand what
I
the
would,
question is.
as
Plus, what
contractor-
kind of underlayment?
As contractor, I would say consult with your manufacturer installation requirements.
I think we would have to know
And
what
then
kind of
check
decking
the
you have.
recommendations.
If you've got solidly sheathed decking, then high temp membrane of some kind would be a good idea. Roll roofing. If you've got some space decking situation, it depends, right?
It'd be a solid sheet with the spacing on purlin. Yeah, like you said, probably some high temp.
Yeah, purlins. You people
Okay,
using that
or
word
what's
wrong.
the other one? It's
Yeah. Javier says, let it go on record that I said farmer sucks. I want it to be said that Javier said that. Oh,
Thank you,
man.
yeah.
Thank you.
I got one claim that broke my heart. It was a farmer's claim. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it broke my heart with that.
Farmers
homeowner
has a
went
really interesting policy. I love their policy, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if it's detailed. The question is, another issue I have is how much of the specifics of the policy is actually properly conveyed to the homeowners upon purchasing the policy.
How many of the agents actually know what's in that policy?
There it
They're
is.
still told that it's an RCV policy.
Yeah, they don't know what they're selling
They don't know any better.
until it's too late.
All right, so if an insurance adjuster is going to say how to make the repairs, and they're basically saying that they have the credentials to make that determination. And if you say, no, you disagree as a contractor, do you think you have better credentials than an insurance adjuster?
Well, I do. I have a license to actually perform the repairs.
And you're the one that's actually going to be performing the
I'm
repairs.
contractually obligated to perform repairs.
What happens if you don't perform the repairs to code?
Then I can be charged with a misdemeanor for every day that those repairs go out of code. So
Non-compliance.
Non-compliance. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I had a little whiskey drink. Yeah, so I mean, you face technically criminal charges for not following your local code requirements, which, despite what a lot of adjusters say, does encapsulate manufacturer requirements. So you have to take the more restrictive of the two. It's not just put ice and water down. It's manufacturer says I got to put ice and water eaves and valleys. Now, some municipalities do have that same thing, but you have to encapsulate both of them and take the more restrictive. And if you don't, you get in trouble. Lose your license. Open yourself up for lawsuits.
What if you don't get in trouble right away, but 7 years down the road, someone tries to sell their house and an inspector comes up and says, oh, wait a minute.
It would be more beneficial to get in trouble right away because you can actually be charged for every day out of compliance. So I would rather get caught the next day than 7 years down the road.
How do you prove that it's not appropriate to make a repair the way that an adjuster is saying to do it?
Document. Building code, manufacturer requirements, existing materials, available materials. What's still being, there's two sides these days. You got available in production and still in production, but not in production due to COVID restrictions on manufacturing. So what's available? Can I actually get it? Huh?
Keep going.
Sorry.
I'm going to invite
Quit rambling.
a better John in.
You're distracting me. There's only one better, John. But no, yeah. So you got to balance the two. You got to take the more restrictive. So you got to comply with local code as minimum, and then you have to then supplement, or not supplement like in our terms, but you have to apply any manufacturer requirements that are above and beyond code minimum. So that would be my stance. And nobody can tell me to do otherwise, with the exception of a building code official.
Well, that's the thing. So if you were actually going to pull a permit for those repairs and put in writing exactly what the adjuster said to do, and it's clearly not appropriate, couldn't the building official just reject it?
Well, yeah. I mean, typically what we do is we would pull a permit. This is irrelevant to what the adjuster said. We'd pull a permit. We get an initial inspection. That would kind of dictate our scope of work. We're going
What's that
to.
word again?
It's everywhere.
Dictates.
Everywhere.
Dictates.
Yeah. But that would dictate our scope of work. So, let's just say it was originally scoped out as a repair, but we have a second layer. Building code official may come out and say, well, this all has to come off because according to code, in order to have a second layer, the first layer has to be completely dry and what's the term I'm looking for?
Not saturated.
Not saturated, and water. That's not
Proper healing surface.
Yeah.
Water.
What do you call that?
I don't know.
Non-compromised initial. The first layer has to be non-compromised. It had to be a fully functional, good condition roofing system prior to the second layer being put on.
You can't have any water intrusion.
Once you put that second layer on, you've compromised that system. There is no second layer you can do a legal repair on.
Well, I mean, the second layer issue could probably be attacked from a weight standpoint on your roofing system as well. But we have something in here that's really interesting. Eric Pond says state today. I think he meant State Farm today on their website. The insured has a common 3 tab on their roof. Please find the closest 3 tab shingle match to what they have on their roof. The shingles do not have to be an exact match. And then they have be rewarded with Drive Safe and Save discounts. To learn more about Drive Safe and Save, contact a State Farm agent or visit statefarm.com/Drive Safe and Save.
Great shameless plug. So I would say first find out if you're a matching state. So I like to use the fact that I am not a matching state in my benefit, because a lot of times when they try to suggest what I need to use to repair this is based on a color match. I don't care what color the shingle is that I'm putting in there because I'm not a matching state. What I can care about is material compatibility. If I can't do a legal sufficient repair to that home based on that material I'm using, I don't care if it's black, red, brown, gray, whatever color shingle it is.
You're not touching it because you're a contractor and you don't want to be held liable.
Yeah, but the color has nothing to do with if it's a legal repair or not. The color has to do with whether it looks good. I don't care about how it looks. We're not a matching state. If we're a matching state, I would care about it.
So I had an adjuster once it was actually an engineer that was sent out by the carrier, and it was a Atlas Chalet roof.
They're always sent out by the carrier.
Well, of course. Well, I send out my own engineer too.
I
hire engineers.
I need one of those.
You need more than one. Anyway, engineer comes out, takes a look at an Atlas Chalet roof and says it's repairable. And I say, what am I supposed to repair this with? There's no like kind of quality available. He says, you can repair it with any standard 3 tab. I said, well, what about the applique section? It makes it look like a faux laminate. Mm-hmm. What am I supposed to do with that? He put in writing in his engineer report. In his report, paint the applique on.
Again, not pre-loss condition.
I've met this same engineer many times since then, and I always bring it up to him because I think it's hilarious that he put that in writing. And he often says to me, yeah, I probably shouldn't have wrote that. But here's the thing. They're often saying, engineers especially, that a roof is repairable using standard repair techniques. Have you ever come across that standard?
I've never in writing.
I don't think it exists.
We have a company policy on like how we do it, but no, there's nothing in writing. That's something we've developed based on what doesn't cause further damage, what, makes the repair more watertightish, when you're talking about roofing. But while we're on this topic, is an Atlas Chalet. So I know the Certainty Horizon and Atlas Chalet are kind of like sister shingles. Does the Atlas Chalet also have a 30-year? Rated as 30-year? That's more
It started originally as a 25-year and changed over at some point to be a 30-year shingle.
Actually, Certainty did the same thing with their Horizon. Yeah, because now the new Horizon's a 30-year 3-tab.
They called it new.
The new Horizon.
It was so new.
So
how many things did they change about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
When all the architectural shingles changed over to lifetime shingles, what changed about them?
The name on the package.
Nothing.
The manufacturer's acceptance of liability is what changed.
That just sounds like bullshit.
It is.
Yeah.
Written by dictators. So if it's a 30-year 3-tab, what part of that is like kind and what the other part is quality? So yeah, the kind is a 3-tab, right? But the quality is
not really. I would argue it's not a 3-tab. It is a faux laminate. So it might have been built off of a same profile as a 3-tab.
You're putting faux laminate in a whole other category.
Different things. I mean, even the manufacturer called some of them shingles. They didn't call them shingles. They didn't call it a 3-tab. Some of them called them architectural shingles.
Did they?
Yeah, in their marketing. So
Liars.
Is it a 3-tab shingle if the manufacturer doesn't even call it a 3-tab? Of course it isn't. It's more than a 3-tab. It isn't your standardized
super 3-tab.
It's an ultra tab.
Yeah, I like that. Ultra tab.
So if it's not that, then it's something else. And if it is something else, then it's a different kind. And if it's a different kind, then it doesn't have a like kind and quality. It isn't just a 3-tab. It has additional granules on it to make it appear different. A 3-tab is designed to look like a slate shingle.
Yeah.
A Chalet or a New Horizon is designed to look like a cedar shake. That's what architectural shingles, laminate shingles are designed to look like.
Cedar shake.
None of them look right like a cedar shake, but the profile design is supposed to look like. Well, that's the whole point.
Okay, so a lot of times I run off warranty as contract. I look at more like the warranty, the weight requirement. So if it qualifies as a 30-year shingle, which we all know is not actual warranty.
But wait a minute, John. There are 30-year 3-tabs available.
Yeah, I know. New Horizon.
Well, the Atlas 3-tab Glassmaster is a 30-year now.
Is that a current in production? We don't have Atlas where I'm at. I don't have Atlas. I don't know Atlas.
Well, it is a 30-year. So if that is the only argument, it's really not a great argument.
I got more.
You got more? Keep going. Keep going. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop. Now the exposure is different, though.
Oh, well, there you go. That's material compatibility. I have a code document for that.
The Atlas products were only allowed to be mingled with other Atlas Chalets. Even the Ridge Cap had to be an Atlas Chalet.
Yeah, you can't really. Interesting. You cannot mix manufacturers. I actually went through this gambit last week. We cannot get a manufacturer to point out other manufacturers. So Certainty will not say do not mix with an Owens Corning, and vice versa, or any other manufacturer combination with that. But they will say, as a general topic, we do not recommend mixing our product with other manufacturers on the same roof plane. That's about the best I can get out of any manufacturer.
So if you go to the IEPC, International Existing Building Code, it says you can make repairs that bring the property back to a pre-loss or pre-damage condition is the word that they use, right?
Yeah.
So pre-damage condition would be all the same shingle.
It would be.
Right. Okay,
a uniform surface.
If it is a different shingle that's installed into it and it reduces the performance value or the safety of the roof or the structure, can it be done?
I mean, not as a licensed contractor, it can't be done.
Can't be done. It's not allowed to be done. No. Not even by the IEBC. It cannot reduce the performance value.
Yeah.
How do they determine performance value of a shingle?
Basically through compatibility, I would assume.
They test these things. There's standardized tests.
We should do that here.
ASTM testing. We actually could. ASTM testing for wind resistance and things. Do you think that they put different shingles into a field of shingles for ASTM testing?
No, they don't.
It's all the same shingle, right?
They test a single line. Not just manufacturing, but a single line.
Right. It might have ridge cap from their manufacturing shingles as part of it.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, in the field of shingles, if you were to put a different manufacturer in there, that is not how they tested the ASTM testing. So how do you know if the roof has maintained its performance value if you put a different shingle in the middle of a field?
You don't.
You don't know. You don't know.
Because it's not a standard practice. It's one of those questions. One of my favorite things I like telling my people now is we don't have answers to these rebuttals because no one has been dumb enough to ask this question before for somebody to put the answer in writing. Why would I build a mixed manufacturer roof slope? Why would I do that? Did I run out of certain teeds halfway through my roof and now I got to put GAFs on the other half just because it's what I had in my shop? No, I mean, that doesn't exist in a regular build scenario.
We've got a question on here we haven't answered yet. Do you guys use templates to move faster through claims, like with codes, manufacturer specs, et cetera?
100%.
If I'm sending the same crap to an insurance adjuster over and over again, yeah, I do. But not a lot. It's usually templated by the carrier based on the policy language. As a PA, I like to use policy language in all of my arguments. So I want that specific policy, and not every policy is the same. If you're not a PA and you're not using an individual policy, then the differences between one claim and the next aren't that big. You've got the same manufacturers for the same information, basically. So templates, yes, but not to an extreme extent on my end.
On a contractor perspective, there are three things that I write an estimate on: measurements, materials, and code. And by materials, I mean pre-existing materials, what they have, like, kind, quality, right? So I have in my state 3 code additions that we use. The 2009 is in one county, 2015 in a second county, and the rest of the counties are 2018. So I have pre-built code packages for each county. So depending on what county that home is in, I just drop in the whatever applicable code package we already have. And that includes all 3 manufacturers that we supply, GAF, Certainty, and Corning, and all the applicable code that is required. Because all the counties, even though they're different additions, it's still the same thing with the exception of drip edge on the 09. So the manufacturer actually, I think, makes me put drip edge on. I put it on anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's cheap. I just put it on regardless.
It's been in the code for a while. So if they have adopted the entire IRC from 2009 on, it's been in there. Some municipalities have written it out for a while. Georgia wasn't required until 2014 when the state finally adopted the entire IRC. Anyway.
So I built a complete code package for manufacturer. Well, first it gives our credentials, who we are, our general contractor
adjuster that asked me for the same code for the 3rd time. I said, hey, man, can you just print this out and post it on the wall at your office so I don't have to do this again? It was kind of a dick move for me.
I had something come up the other day. The adjuster actually sent me a code doc. And I said, look, if you can pull that, why can't you pull them the rest of the time you ask me for
something? Well, you're the one that has to prove the loss, not him. That's why.
Well, he had to pull it to prove me on something. But
Javier asked, explain the argument when repairing 2 slopes, 1 slope. The felt has to go over the ridge to comply with Underlayment code. Hey, man, I go through this so heavily in my composition shingle course. I actually have 7 different reasons you need to at least manipulate some of the shingles on the other slope.
That's 7.
There's a lot of reasons you go from one slope to the next.
Yeah.
Hey, the better John is in the background.
Who's this?
This is Mr. Senek. You have to put your headset on. I know.
I have a little man crush on this guy. He's
You have a man crush on John Senek?
I do.
You know he's my my puppet, right?
Put him in my ears. I want to hear him.
Here we go. John, you're coming on. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
You didn't hear that man crush thing, did you?
I did hear every bit of that. So
all right, good. I just want to make sure. I have a little bit of man crush on you.
Perfect. So my wife's starting to get worried about that anyway, that there's somebody that has a work crush on me. And then she was like, it's probably a dude, though. And I was like,
it's definitely a dude.
I mean, industry demands, So.
Yeah. Molecularly, I've never had that issue, mostly because of my face.
It's the beard. I think that,
yeah, it scares people.
Intimidated by it.
It's I'm very odorish.
I love your brain, Matt. I love your brain.
Bigfootish?
So
it's my brain.
I walked into you guys talking about there's many reasons to go onto another slope. So I imagine there was something triggering
Javier
being
asked
on
us
here.
about
I wanted to answer
actually
that.
Discussing.
Let the legend.
I got
do
this. The legend.
I just wanted people to know that I know.
The whole point of our You're a dumbass. The whole point of our topic is talking about when an insurance adjuster says this is how you have to do it, and they name a specific product, or they say you can do this even though the contractor is saying otherwise. Can they dictate repairs? And then we got
Yes
into
and
some
no.
discontinued materials, and I thought, who better to ask than a legitimate John, and not just neck tattoo.
Just neck tattoo, John. That's great. So my short answer to that is no. They cannot dictate repairs. They may have to write an initial repair based on DPL, direct physical loss, or whatever you want to call it in that process. And that's fine. But is that the definition of what a proper repair is? What a repair that meets minimum construction standards are? The requirements of the manufacturer continues to meet any ASTM standards that exist out there? Oftentimes it's not. And it's not their job to understand or memorize construction in most cases. So they're there to document damage and decide if it's a covered loss or not. It's up to a contractor to spell out how the repair has been done. The climate that we've faced most recently across the board is we're being told how to do repairs. And I would rather hear that on the front end rather than hear it after I've already attempted a repair. So my strategy has been to say, all right, Mr. Adjuster, can you please confirm the following? What repair product do you want me to use? And what repair method do you want me to use? And see what the answer is. Because we hit
Why would you ask an adjuster to do that?
Because they all too many times take a stance that they shouldn't take, in my opinion. And I want to see if they're going to do it. Now, if
So
they
you're
dig a
hoping
hole.
that they say, I can't make that determination. I'm just a lowly adjuster. I don't have any credentials to make that call.
exactly, I'm
And you're
hoping that they
baiting
either
them.
tell me how they want me to repair it and I go walk through those exact steps, or they admit that they are not the person who's tasked to define what the repair process should be. And if I lead with that, if my homeowner asks that questions, if I ask that questions, copy my homeowner, and everybody has a transparent view of what that's going to look like, then great. We know one direction or another. They've either taken a stand and we'll go try it that way, or say why we can't try it that way because I'm leading to something here, or they say we can't take a stand. And then when we turn in this repair attempt, this effort that we made, and show that, hey, here's our repair method, and here's what we attempted, and here's why it didn't work, or here's why this won't work.
I feel
Then
like
we've
you
got
have a
something to stand
really
behind.
big house.
It's tiny. It's really small.
He walks in
I'm really-
circles.
You're just
I'm
pacing.
just doing-
Okay, never
I'm
mind.
just doing the same laps to make it look like I just walked, 8,000 square feet across one side to the other.
Jeez.
But
Okay.
it's only 6,400 square feet, so it is
That's
not.
it?
Was that all?
It is not. Yeah, it's not.
You call yourself a
8,000, so-
contractor?
Yeah, right. No Lambos in the garage, no
Just
neck
setting work
tattoos. I
trucks.
mean, I'm not
No
even a
neck tats.
contractor.
Yeah. Like a normal person.
But then let's take it a step further. Let's say that they tell you how to repair it, or they say that you
I
need to
have-
use these methods,
I
or
have an
that they
example
tell
for
you,
that.
let's use a roof snake. Here's the tools you need to use, right? Outside of sending them Matt Mulholland's video about how that's going to cause damage, I actually like to just take my roof snake and go play with it, okay? And get out there, take some shingles, a dummy roof, your shed, a mock-up roof, shingles on a board in your shop, whatever,
Yeah,
and go
that's
ahead
right
and
there.
show them what's going to happen. And then I pose the same question I posed at the beginning, a question of selection, right? Which failure do you want me to pursue while using this recommended, or here's another phrase that I really like, promoted, endorsed tool that you're suggesting, right?
So
interesting.
let me ask you this.
I do like that you're doing that
Yeah.
because they are basically endorsing it.
They're
Yeah.
endorsing
I
it,
love that.
right?
So let me ask you this. You're intentionally doing it on a different roof surface, not the insurers. And you're
Correct.
doing that on purpose because you don't want to accept liability. So my big thing is I cannot condone an illegitimate repair on a paying customer, right? So I guess
Right.
by using like the roof boards we have out here at NCI that we, do so many experiments on. If we did it on something like that, it'd be a test space, right? And that way
Correct.
we're not committing a crime by causing damage to a customer's house or just an individual's house. We're doing
Correct.
it on in a controlled scenario where we can
Exactly.
document in a nice safe space.
Because at that point, I'm able to put back an option to them. And when you give people options, you've kind of narrowed the ability to answer, short of somebody who's very sharp and ready to provide a different answer. But if I go on a little 4x4 or controlled space, a pre-built roof, something in my shop, and usually you're going to be using a fairly new shingle when you do that too, and it's going to destruct or destroy that shingle, and I present which failure do you want me to pursue in this option. I've even gone so far as to say, I'm asking this question because I've been out on inspections where marks similar to this have been identified as mechanical damage that would never be covered. And I don't want to risk that taking place on our mutual customer's roof. Can you help me understand which failure you want me to pursue with the tool that you are endorsing?
Well, the endorsement language. When you say mechanical damage, what do you mean?
I'm not defining it. I'm saying this is what I've heard an adjuster tell me. Mechanical damage, right? So I've been on adjustments or inspections where adjusters have told me this style of damage is mechanical damage. Okay.
Right. It's a style.
And usually to that, I say, yes, I agree. It is mechanical damage.
I've seen some pretty awesome.
But wind and hail is still mechanical damage.
Different colors, different styles. You know,
if wind forces a shingle to fold over,
print.
That's mechanical. Hail hits a roof, that's mechanical.
Lawn
chair
Hawaiian style
blows across a yard and hits siding, that's mechanical.
Sometimes I really like the little umbrellas in my drink
mechanical.
too. It's a style.
Are you okay, Matt?
I like different styles.
So yes, I say I agree. It's mechanical.
The key in the entire process is to be a cunning linguist, because then you can populate about anything. Okay. If your vernacular is solid, you can pretty much outwit them in what you're saying. Did I lose you guys?
No, I'm with you. I'm familiar with the act term, whatever.
Hey, I gotta tell you, dude, this week has been weird. I'm teaching a class for NCI, and I'm pulling up a Google search for H clips.
Google H clips,
and I didn't put a hyphen in there. And
or was it H clip?
That was a problem.
Was it H clip?
H clips with an S at the end.
Okay.
I'm talking about edge support for decking.
He just wanted a Google image
of H clips. So
just
I
a
pulled
Google
up H clips and I hit images on a Google search.
Just a Google image. We just wanted a photo.
I didn't put a hyphen
of H clips.
I should not have done that on the big screen.
Then we had porn on 5 TVs in the classroom.
You know what?
It's phenomenal.
Apparently, H clips is a pornographic term.
H stands for hardcore. If anybody out there is wondering, we were trying to
figure that out.
Yeah, we didn't know why.
If you are looking up and trying to purchase edge support in the form of H clips for decking, you should
hyphenate.
You should put a hyphen in. It's imperative that you put a hyphen in.
If you're looking for porn, H clip with no hyphen will suffice.
Yeah.
Or you can put your email to the adjuster to please do a little research on H clips without the dash and see what happens when their boss comes in and saying, what kind of websites are you looking up?
Even better, copy and paste the link into an email.
My class got to learn something more than what they came for.
Yeah. Google search H clips. Hyperlink. Send them right to it.
Yeah. Let me Google that for you.
What other questions? I'll do one more question and I'm going to get back to the family. But what other question or topic? Because this is obviously the world that I have loved to live in. I invited you in because it inevitably comes down to a like kind of quality argument and whether or not a specific shingle can be used with anything else. Now, you often promote using the do not mix letters. What is the point of a do not mix letter? Well, the driving factor behind it could be derived from a lot of different things, but it's a recommendation from the manufacturer, and that word becomes a challenging piece sometimes in recommendation. The do not mix letter is kind of your leading presentation because it's something that's actually written or presented from the manufacturer explaining that you should not or that it's not recommended to mix those products. Once you present that, you need to know what route you need to go because there's a lot of things that can happen. For example, GAF Timberline 30 has a do not mix recommendation letter, and they'll tell you to put whatever current Timberline HDZ is in there. But there's a lot of problems with that. Number one, GAF Timberline 30, when it first came out, only had 2 ASTM testing stamps on the side compared to the 5 it has now. They were never ASTM tested to the same standards.
ASTM
right?
tests?
So, yeah. So the compatibility measures were never even compared on the same basis from the original product to what it is now. So we can never say that those two products were ever ASTM tested on the same roof plane to the same ASTM standards, right? Yeah. So how do we know that those products are compatible? Additionally, I always challenge this question. I don't like falling into the do not mix trap because it's kind of a trap. They're going to hit you with a recommendation. I lead everything that's no longer made with it's discontinued, even if the letter explicitly says do not mix. The reality is I can't drive into a Home Depot, any store like that and buy Timberline 30. And if I can't go buy it right off the shelf, right from a supplier somewhere, then it's not a do not mix product, it's a discontinued product. And if I can't find that same product, I'm unable to perform that particular repair. And if you really want to get in the nitty gritty, a lot of those original packages even go down to say, do not mix with different lot numbers, different color lots, different die lots.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't say for visual purposes after that. It doesn't say for matching purposes, avoid mixing different die lots. It explicitly says on the package, which is the most published version of their installation instructions. It's the first installation instruction that exists, is what's wrapped around the actual shingle. Do not mix different die lots. So when they change the line and they change the die lots, that's a do not mix instruction that existed on the packaging from the time it was originally produced. At NTS, we're trying to scan as many of those in because we're going to build an entire portfolio of original packaging to be able to ship people.
He's an encyclopedia.
You said NTS, and most of my audience doesn't know what that is. Real quick, tell them what NTS is.
Nothing too special. That's what it stands for.
It's true. It's shit.
So NTS is an alternate reporting services. There's other reporting services out there. I think one of them is called ITEL. But there's other reporting services out there. Everyone's got a different agenda in the reporting process. The agenda of NTS is to determine, number one, can we identify this shingle? Our goal is to be as positive on the identification as possible, even down to the sticker, the run, the year if we have to. But we really want to dive into, can we identify the product? There are other companies who send out a we don't know what this is daily. We've only sent out 3 in the lifetime of NTS. Okay. Then from there, we want to identify compatibility. Because if the manufacturer has compatibility specifications that exist out there saying it's no longer compatible with new lines, that's the next concern for me. Once we vet all of that and determine the thickness, the warranty, which line it was, AR versus non-AR, right? All the compatibility issues that come up. If it's a compatible product that's currently in production, okay, now it's time to determine, does that color exist? And if that color exists, great. We've now taken it through the sifter and run every single process. And this was an interesting thing for the audience to hear. When one company's objective is to find the closest match, I believe the time it takes to vet that is a lot shorter than another company's method of determining exactly what it is, compatibility, all the details that come into it, algae versus non-AR granules, if that needs to be determined. So our process is a little bit slower, but we're not looking at the same things. We are looking at it from a completely different angle. And I'll give you an example. We sent one out today, and it came with 3 letters from the manufacturer, a 3-page underlayment report as to why you have to go over hips, ridges, because anybody doing repairs should have access to that paperwork to know what the underlayment requirements are for that product, and a general do not mix letter for that one. So it was a total of like 11 pages for that report, but it dealt with all the compatibility issues that exist for that one particular product. Now a homeowner can digest that and make an educated decision and not decide, is my adjuster being a crook and lying to me? Is my contractor lying to me and just trying to make a bunch of money when I could repair this roof? They can look at all that information, digest it, and say, all right, the person who made the product that sits on my roof now has the following to say about it. And that's what we wanted to put in the hands of homeowners.
Well, who has the liability in one case?
Actually, hold on. Before you answer that, John, let me jump in here real quick. It's just contractor to contractor. When you're Matt's not that important. I'm this guy that's in the class.
I almost locked him out of the room, but he had a neck tattoo.
Can I finish?
So he intimidated me.
Contractor,
So I
contractor.
let
Go
him
ahead.
in.
Contract.
Anyway.
Are you willing to put your reputation and credibility and even liability in the hands? If a manufacturer says we do not recommend doing this, are you willing to sign on a dotted line with the homeowner saying that I'm going to do this repair, even though the manufacturer recommends I don't do this? Now I can get, we're not required to put an item on a roof because it's recommended by the manufacturer. Right. But if they recommend we don't do it, are you willing to take that liability and do it anyway?
I'm not, because for me, it's not even about the insurance claim. I had a realtor call me to go look at one, and it had a leak around a skylight, and a critter was trying to chew its way in because it could feel the warm air and everything, right? And the shingles were all mauled up. And I knew the second I stood on it, it was an old OC Pro 30. And the realtor wanted a bid to repair the skylight. And I said, I can't for two reasons. The skylight doesn't exist. We're probably going to have to change size. We can't reuse any component of that skylight whatsoever. And to do that, we're going to have to take out shingles. So I can't replace just the skylight and do a repair. We'd have to write for this. Gave him the documents. And guess what? I lost that job, and I was okay losing it because I could sleep at night knowing that I didn't sign some waiver. And some people do, right? But I didn't sign some waiver. I didn't want the liability. I didn't want the risk. I didn't want to ignore what the manufacturer recommends in that particular situation because I don't want to own the headache, the leak, the responsibility, the failure. It's not
Once
mine.
you touch it, you own it as a contractor. Yep.
You're going to get every call back after that.
You got me.
And if you don't realize it, just wait till you get 3 callbacks and they're like, fine, we're not coming back out there. We're adamant about our position. Then they get on there and they write a 1-star Google review. It affects you no matter what you do. If it's a problem. Doesn't matter. It either costs you money, costs you time, costs you money and time, costs you reviews, costs you reputation. It's not worth the $1,500 to go repair that skylight to make that one realtor happy. Okay.
Ain't all money, good money. That's what we always say. Yep. Not all money is good money.
So for me, it's not about the claim. It's about doing the right thing. Because if I made the product and somebody didn't use it right, they came to me and complained, I'd be like, you didn't use it right. That's what I'd say. So I don't want everyone to be put in that position.
Yeah.
Matt, you were getting ready to say something before I jump off?
I forgot what it was. I don't really care.
You have such a strong IQ. I'm amazed that you forgot anything in that process.
It's had 15 more ideas.
I'm not an elephant.
15 more ideas. So, but anyway, so that's kind of my take and my thoughts on mixing products. And it's why we want homeowners, because in that case, let's go back to that realtor example. Being able to provide the seller and buyer of the home an NTS report in that situation so they can understand what needs to be done here. You probably have a seller that's pissed because the buyer's going to be like, no, you can't do a patch job on this roof. It's still going to create some level of conflict in that situation, who wants one done, but at least everybody has all the information to be able to assess what is the recommendation to do here. Because let's look at the abstract of a recommendation. What is it? Can we just do the opposite of the recommendation, right? If it's the only thing out there, doing the abstract is a really poor decision. All right, I love challenging that too. When an adjuster says, "Well, this is just a recommendation." Okay, show me the other recommendations or the other options. Because if this is the only stance that exists out there, to me, this is what we're going to follow. Unless you can find something that supersedes this, recommendation or not, there's nothing else I can find that supersedes this. So
it's like weighing out the pros and cons and saying who's willing to accept the cons for the pros. And me as a contractor, usually I'm not going to take the cons.
But from an insurance standpoint, if it is a recommendation and you're saying that the recommendation is a requirement or something that you would do, is that something the insurance company owes for? And to be honest, it probably doesn't owe for that. It doesn't necessarily owe for a recommendation unless the municipality is going to enforce that recommendation. So
correct.
So even if it does say recommendation or something along those lines, that's really not good enough to trigger a policy to be paid unless there is a reduction in performance value or something that would trigger an IEBC condition. Performance value is reduced. How do we know if the performance value is reduced if we're using a different material that hasn't been tested with the current materials on the roof for ASTM wind ratings?
Now it's all a relevant point. It's like that's a good argument. A sound adjuster that could come at it with logic like that. That's going to be a tough uphill climb to present. I always present the abstract And then what do you have that supersedes it? Recommendation or not, what do you have that supersedes it? And worst case scenario, I'll go apply for the permit and let the permit department or the building department look at it like,
Let them
I
review.
lo- yeah,
right?
I love
You
that
don't need
move.
a permit for this, right? And I'm like, no, I really do, because this is a very special project. We're actually we need a permit to go against this recommendation and see if they'll rubber stamp it. Because if they rubber stamp
Pay
it,
it.
yes,
You have to
great.
pay for them to make that determination. They won't
you gotta
until you
pay it.
pay the permit price.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pay it, right? So
And-
you got to be willing
and
to
now you
recoup
gotta
that
incur
cost.
costs.
But if they rubber stamp it, yes, great. Go to your homeowner, sign the waiver. Now it's on the building department that rubber stamped it. Yes. If they
Yep.
rubber stamp it, no, then you can ask the building department for the causation of the denial of the permit, and they have to provide you detail for the causation of the denial of the permit that then you can provide to whoever the parties are in dispute: adjusters, realtors, buyers, sellers, homeowners, whoever it may be. If you have the opportunity to have a governing body rubber stamp that yes or no, now it's off my plate. As long as it's off my plate, I'm good with it.
We
For
just
those
had
of you
this
that are
conversation.
listening on a podcast, my head was just nodding like crazy. My neck hurts from nodding so hard. That was gold.
Yeah.
Gold.
Well, again,
I love that.
guys.
I mean, yeah, we've played with the, doing the non-required, but let's go ahead and get a permit anyway, just so that we can kind of solidify our stance in it.
And-
Have the building enforcement, because they won't chime in if you ask them. If you say, hey, this carrier wants me to do this, what do you have to say about it? They say, not us. So don't
Right.
Are you crazy? No, our
But it's all
code
the right
is
questions.
read it,
And
note it.
and here's the questions. I need to understand that the various levels of questions that are asked. A lot of contractors get mad because the building department won't help them. Their job is not to help you. That's not their job. And you're asking the wrong question, asking them to preemptively take a stance. That's not going to do anything for you.
Right.
Because the counter to that is the adjusters can call up the building department and say, are you going to force a homeowner to change the decking? And they'll be like, nah. Well, if we're not taking a piece off, well, we can't take a stance on that. Okay, the building department's not going to enforce it.
No,
Okay,
they don't want to
you're-
put something in
Yeah.
writing that says
You're
that
asking
someone
the
can't
wrong
do a
question.
reasonable DIY repair, because then it makes it more costly for someone to own a home in their county.
Exactly. So that's why they don't take a stance. It's about asking the right questions. And sometimes you have to pay, apply for a permit, and then you get to ask the right questions. And then they're just performing their normal course of work. When you
Yes.
let a building department perform their normal course of work, instead of being mad that they won't help, they won't engage, they won't answer questions when that's not their job, don't be mad
Yeah.
about it. Go let them perform their normal course of work. Pay for a permit,
Yeah.
apply for a permit, ask why it was denied, let them give you the write-up on why it's denied, and you're good to go. And I'll position this back to the manufacturers, because we as contractors leverage ourselves with manufacturers incorrectly most of the time. We're all the way on one side, and then the adjuster knows the question they ask on the other side. They're going to call GAF or whoever it is, and they're going to ask this question. They're going to say, hey, I've got a question for you. If we mix products, is it going to void the warranty? And they're going to say this: it will not. We won't offer a warranty for the product you're putting in, but it won't void the warranty of the entire roof or of the rest of the slopes. Or they'll define. But we're not talking about warranty. We're talking about compatibility. So the adjusters know the questions to ask to get the answers they want. We need to be savvy about asking the right questions, because if we're the ones, because it comes down to who's going to own it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
So
yeah.
we'll go and we'll tell an adjuster we can't do this work because it's going to void the warranty, and they say we don't owe for warranty. But then they'll call the technical service department
And ask about warranty.
Will this void the warranty?
Yeah.
So you get out of that game. Just get out of the game. Let people do their normal course of work and get the information you can from people within the normal course of work and apply that to your construction project. And if it gives you leverage to go move forward with the roof, great. If not, let someone else take the burden of the responsibility. And if someone else is ready to take the burden of responsibility on it, great. Sign this waiver, homeowner. Let's do the work.
Yeah. Because you know what? There's a lot of money in repairs. And let's not
yeah.
beat around the bush. You give me a 15 shingle repair, that's less than a bundle of shingles, a couple hours of work. I might get $800 out of a carrier for that, or below deductible. I guess $800 out of the insured for that. But honestly, what's that cost you as a contractor? I'm not going to answer that for me, because that's
Hey, when I was a roofer and I needed a little bit of extra Christmas money,
repairs all day long.
Instant money.
Don't be afraid of a repair if it's legitimate, because you can make a lot of money on them.
I think, and here's the deal. this is a pet peeve of mine because of all these classes and everything I do. We've got everybody across the country arguing about why something is not repairable. And I kind of want to be like, show me your repair portfolio.
Yeah.
Because who are you to talk about repairs if you don't do them? It's like claiming you're the expert on something and you never repair. Come up with a repair model, come up with published repair prices. Like you have a set base repair minimum. You won't show up for less than X, right? And it describes what's included in X.
$5,000.
Right? One bundle of shingles, like a tube of sealant, blah, 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 and 2 man hours. And that's your minimum, whatever it is. It could be $795, but as long as that's your minimum, like every other trade on the face of the planet has a minimum to show up. If you have published minimums, then you're good. If you're doing repairs, you're good. Because then if you ever do get challenged to the point where an adjuster is saying, back to my original presentation of, I asked them if they have a suggested repair method. Because if they do, I'm very curious to hear what it is. If not, I cannot wait for the moment for them to challenge mine because I do repairs and I've got a portfolio of repairs.
I've
and
been
it's going to be
a few
come
times.
to Jesus moment when they say, how do you know what you're doing? And I'm going to go, how much fucking time do you have? Because I've got a series of videos you can watch.
I've been deposed and I've been asked many times during the depositions, have you ever repaired a roof? And I'll say yes. And they'll say, well, okay, are roofs ever repairable? And I'll say, yes, roofs are repairable all the time. And they'll say, well, wait, but that doesn't make sense because you often say that this roof isn't repairable, that isn't repairable. Well, every roof is technically repairable.
Whether it's tearing off.
You might take this target shingle and you end up replacing most of the shingles on the roof and it's still a repair, until you're replacing the entire thing.
But in theory, let's say that you had one damaged shingle 3 courses up midfield, and the shingle was not, the system was not pliable enough to perform repairs on spot repair. Yeah, sure, you could tear it down all the way down to that one shingle on a per shingle basis and repair on a per shingle basis, but from a cost analysis basis and what insurance owes for the lesser of the two, it's going to be more cost effective for that slope to be gone to perform a full replapment, right?
There's definitely
every roof's repairable. Sure, you could leave one shingle on the roof and say we repaired everything else, right?
I mean, there's a different standard of care when the insurance company is involved. Either way,
a little one getting worked up here. But
John, I appreciate your time.
This was a great topic. I'm so glad you sent me a message to jump in on this. The takeaways are really understand your vernacular and how you can use it, right? Because it is going to give you a lot of leverage in the communication process, and understand what liability and responsibility you're going to take in mixing products, repairs, going over or stopping points on a system, connecting features on a system, and who owns that concern. Because me as a contractor, I don't want to own it.
500 jobs will make you successful. One bad one will take you out.
Exactly. All right, you gentlemen have fun with the rest of the broadcast. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, legitimate John. I'll see you later. So, I mean, he made a good point at the end there. Who owns the repair?
Absolutely.
Because that's really the key. When I went through IICRC training for WTR and ATS, rid of that. ASD, not ATS. WTR, ASD, and one of the instructors, a guy named Joe, was constantly talking about having the monkey, owning the monkey. You don't want the monkey. The monkey is somebody else's.
Yeah.
And that really was tied to who is determining what the scope of work is to be. If the scope of work is set by somebody, then they're the ones that own the repair. If you are the one performing the work and you are allowing somebody else to set the scope of work for you,
can't do that in code.
You can't do that.
If
you're the one that is performing the work, you have to set the scope of work. You can't let somebody else dictate that for you.
Yeah,
we missed a few questions. I'm going to go back. Russ asks, is grill next to siding a covered peril in most policies? Is the grill next to siding a covered peril? And then he says melted vinyl. Thank God he said that because I wouldn't have understood what
I think I've had a couple like that. I've seen that before. I've actually seen where sun reflection off of a house through a window hit the siding on an opposing house and melted that side. Like
I'm actually appraising a claim right now with that. Absolutely, it's a cover. And it's a covered loss for an open peril policy anyway. It's not excluded in a named peril policy, like a renter's policy or something like that. not named there, it wouldn't be covered. But
Just the data loss, right?
Well,
Data
for
loss
a
and
named peril
testimony.
policy, there's only certain perils that are covered, and that wouldn't be one of those perils. It's like a dwelling, a DP form probably wouldn't be covered in DP2, something like
You
that.
said it'd be covered.
What?
You said it'd be covered.
If it was an open peril policy.
Okay, so with that, you would need a
Most
data
homeowners
loss and a
policies,
testimony.
HO3, HO5, yeah, it'd be set. Data loss would be hard, but it would still be covered because it's accidental.
I would hope they would know the data
It
loss
would-
because
that-
if your house almost
it would
burned down,
happen so
I would hope
quickly.
you reacted.
Right. It wouldn't be something that happens so slowly over time that it would be an issue.
Yeah,
So-
unless you just cook
This
nonstop
guy was
smoke.
talking about OC Pro 30. I don't know what that is. We probably should have had that question. Trimming of shingles.
Don't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
If you're-
you can cut
if
the
you're a
sides. You can cut the side because the shingles are designed to be able to cut on the side.
If you cut the side, it better be on the rake. Is all
And
I
then
gotta say,
he
or in a
laughed.
valley.
So maybe it was a diabolical.
Did he LOL us?
He LOL'd us. What if the policy says repair or replace part that is damaged? Does that mean repair or replace components as well? Well, most policies say we'll repair or replace the damaged part of the property or the part of the property that is damaged or it'll say we'll repair or replace the damaged property, we'll repair or replace the damaged part of the property, or we'll repair or replace the damaged components of the damaged part of the property.
Is the roof
It
a
really
house
depends on the
component?
policy on how the level is. Is it a component level policy? Some of them are. Many of them are.
Is the house component?
The house, if it says repair or replace the dwelling,
If code will
which
not
is
let
what the
you,
original HO3s used to say, will repair or replace the damaged dwelling. It was really designed as almost like it was talking about a total loss in every scenario, but they're repairing the dwelling, and the repair of the dwelling would be repairing the systems that were damaged. When you're getting into the component level coverage, we'll repair or replace the component level. Then you're talking about individual shingles, or possibly even
field
individual
shingles.
granules of a roof.
Ooh. Get your
Individual-
tweezers and glue out, contractors. We're repairing granules.
Yeah, I mean, well, not repairing, you're replacing. 'Cause
Replacing.
they're gone. They're just fucking
To
gone.
repair the component.
Not all work is good work.
Nope.
Can we get a brother contractor to give an opinion?
A brother contractor. I have a brother who's a contractor. We are actually together
I
now.
don't know. I can get Paul Benton on here. He's a good friend of mine.
Is he your brother or a brother? Does he have a brother?
He's a brother, I guess, if that means a black man, I guess. I don't know.
Good stuff there.
Have a minimum. One good question. Can an insurance company pay for one slope on a 2-slope roof with organic shingle? Ha!
No.
Highly doubtful.
If it's discontinued and you have to replace a slope, I think that was like the first question that led into the John
Here's the
Cena
issue.
thing.
I mean,
Explain the ridge overlap was what the first question,
if
right?
it's an up and over, which is
So-
what he's saying, and it's an organic shingle,
I will just throw this out
the
there.
felt has to overlap how far?
Has to overlap 4 inches to the other side. Was it 4 or 2?
It's 2 to
2
4,
inches.
depending on
2 to
the
4.
location.
Okay, we'll call it 2
2
inches.
minimum.
It doesn't matter. Here's the
You're
thing.
still in the
So,
first course of shingles there.
so when I was in my infancy as a contractor, I used to think, okay,
was a baby.
that discounts the amount of ridge vents because you got to cut that out, right? But then as I read more into it, the manufacturer installation requirements, guys, go look up the installation requirements. It says to overlap the entire thing 2 to 4 inches and then cut out the section that's vented. So you still have to overlap the entire ridge length.
Really?
It does. Look it up. The underlayment installation requirements require that you overlap the entire thing and then cut out the area
And
that's
then
vented.
cut.
And then cut.
You have to
It
overlap
has to be
first.
continuous first and then cut it out
And then
prior to installing your field to your vent to your cap.
I didn't know that. I wish I had my little notepad.
Who's the good John now, Matt?
You're a good
Am I
John.
good? Just tell me I'm good. Just
You're
tell me
such
I'm
a good John.
good. Just tell me I'm good.
Sounds like I'm calling you a toilet.
You weren't
Super
cold when I
John.
first sat down.
Sweet. Adjuster stated. Adjuster stated stating. I can't.
We need more whiskey for this group. Patio holes.
Patch
are the-
holes that were used 4-2 concentrate heat air. I don't know what this is saying.
Adjuster says in patch holes that were used to concentrate heat air fry water.
Javier is drunk.
Holy.
I don't know what that says.
Give us 2 hours. We'll catch up to you, Javier.
The problem with Windows is everywhere. That might be true. Adjuster stated the patch holes. Thank you, Javier, for finishing this properly. Yeah. Patch holes of drywall. Holes were made by Mint Company to direct airflow into wall cavities. Okay. And I'm stating we must remove full sheets around perimeter of rooms. What's the best way to get the grill sheet replaced? The grill sheet.
Not sure what you mean by grill sheet, but I'm going to say this. We all know a contractor can legitimately patch drywall without full sheets.
Well, hang on. I mean, if there is moisture intrusion, and they have to put holes in it to plug the hole so that there's airflow throughout the backside of it, there is a possibility that there is some mold intrusion back there. So it would depend on how quickly you got the drying going, and if it got stabilized within the 48 to 72 hour period. If not, then you're going to have mold growth on the backside of that. Did you remove the insulation? If you're just putting holes in there, then you probably didn't remove the insulation, unless you cut the bottom off, pulled the insulation out, but it's usually stapled to the studs, or there's a vapor barrier involved. It would depend on your location in the United States, but generally speaking, if you didn't get the drying going in the 48 to 72 hour period, you have some kind of growth possibilities, and you need to at least get an industrial hygienist to start measuring that and creating a protocol for you. An industrial hygienist creating that protocol. A protocol, by the way, is exactly how to make the repairs, and that is someone that has the credentials to do that, not an insurance adjuster.
Yeah. And their report is non disputable because they're a professional.
It's true, unlike you. One more question. A contractor damaged a brick patio with forklift while replacing a metal roof. They took all measurements to prevent further damages with ground protection mats. That's a new kind of mat. Ground protection mats.
How about that? There's 3
ground
mats
protection mats for heavier equipment. Is the insurance company liable for repairs of patio? Yes.
I'm going to say one thing to you contractors. Waiver of subrogation. If you're using subcontractors to do things, make sure that you guys have a subcontractor agreement and a waiver of subrogation so that if you bring somebody else on the job, they are liable for their damages if you're the GC. First.
Okay. From a policy standpoint, a policy holder would have coverage for this if the vehicles that were used to cause damage were not owned by the policyholder. If they are owned by the policyholder in any way, then no. There would not be coverage. A vehicle unowned by the policyholder causing damage to the property as consequential damage that was unavoidable by the contractor would still be covered as the same proximate cause of loss. So whatever caused that forklift to come onto the property for whatever reason, hail, wind, tree, whatever it is, if it was unavoidable to drive that forklift onto the brick patio and the brick patio got damaged by that forklift, as long as the forklift isn't owned by the property owner, it is definitely a vehicle, it would be covered.
I would like to own a forklift.
On an open peril policy. Is water loss and insulation, it's water loss. And insulation was damaged by water, and
It's water loss.
We're still waiting for the rest of it.
Javier is everywhere.
Javier is
He's all over the place right now.
We're over time, Javier. I don't know if I can wait for your end, man.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Any closing statements about dictating?
Do you know your liability in the job?
Do you think that Kenneth Stokes Sr. was talking about us saying some bullshit?
Just listen.
Or just saying that there was some bullshit that we were talking about and he agreed with us?
Maybe he's just being sarcastic.
Maybe he just wanted dictating a little bit.
Yeah, he just wanted to be involved. Let him be involved. We get
an
right.
adjuster?
Kenneth Stokes Sr.
Kenneth, are you an adjuster?
I agree.
Watching?
You know, you guys should just listen to this bull.
Thanks, James. I like Mr. Strange. He used to work for me.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, James Strange. He used to work for me at All Good Adjustments.
Oh.
I fired him. And we're still friends. I like the guy quite a bit, actually. It was a shame that it didn't work out. It was just one of those non-fit situations. I like the guy quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Anyway.
All right. I think it was a good show.
It was a good show. I'm gonna no more questions, peoples.
Oh, we got a new comment.
Oh, damn it.
Oh. Well.
Yes, we are still friends. You damn right. I appreciate the live. Thanks, guys. You're welcome. All right. If you guys are getting a lot out of this show, we will, at some point, I promise, we will definitely have a merchandise page on our website. My guy is working diligently on it. He is hitting problem after problem after problem. I don't know why. We
Supply
will be
chain
able to
issues.
sell shirts like this very, very soon.
The cotton has been discontinued due to COVID manufacturing restrictions and is no longer available.
It's
So
actually technical difficulties with the website. I promise it will be available. However, the Patreon account is still available. If you would like to get consultation from myself and my partners listed to this book,
I'm not one of them, just so you guys know. So
Neck
you'll
tattoo's not one of them.
you'll get legitimate advice, not from me.
God. Anyway, if you would like to be a patron for the show and donate, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/L2TB. Back up that way a little bit. Listen to this book, L2TB. Patreon.com/L2TB. You can donate to the show, which would definitely help us, or you can become one of our monthly patrons and get consulting from myself and my partners. There is even the ability to have individual one-on-one consulting work with us until we fill up and don't have enough room for that. Because honestly, I only have so much time.
Don't fall for it. He's going to touch you inappropriately with
I
that
will
one-on-one thing.
Talk to you over the internet.
Very closely to your
I
ear.
might breathe heavily into the microphone from time to time. That's the worst you'll get. I'm going to be in Denver with John Senek, who was on this show earlier today at his next discontinued shingle masterclass.
He was a talking encyclopedia for those who don't know.
He was a much better John than the one that's standing next to me.
He didn't interrupt either.
He has a huge house.
It definitely
That is a discontinued shingle masterclass. I do have something on my Facebook profile with a link to that if you would like to join. We're also going to start a tour with Jen Silver, John Senek, and TJ McCormick very soon. You can go to roofingreclaimed.com to learn more about that.
Is that up yet?
It is. It's up.
Awesome.
It's up now.
You could.
So roofingreclaimed.com. I'm very excited about that tour.
Hashtag me
I
too.
probably will be excited about that until about halfway through when I'm going to be burnt out like crazy and it's going to get crazy. You can also go to nationalclaims.institute, our primary sponsor, National Claims Institute. It teaches contractors, public adjusters, insurance adjusters, and engineers and attorneys how to deal with insurance claims and their role in it. There are certification classes for roof inspections for composition shingle, specialty roof inspection, and commercial low slope. There are 392 different courses planned. It is a newer company. Of those 392 different courses, 11 of them are put out. Coming up soon is a specialty roof inspection course you can find at nationalclaims.institute. That is the website. .institute is the thing.
Not .com. Not .institute.com.
Yeah.
.institute.
You won't find it if you go there.
I've made that mistake.
All right. That's it. That's all of our announcements. Go away. We'll see you next week at